Alright guys, thanks for tuning in here. This is the next installment of my 1970 Camaro Revival. If you haven't watched part 1 or part 2 yet, I suggest you go ahead and do that now. Okay, so on our last episode, we were trying to get it to move under its own power. No, nothing, huh?
Nothing. No move.
That's low. Nothing.
Nope.
However, when we put it in gear, there was no forward, there was no reverse, there was no nothing. Now I had some comments saying that, oh well, maybe your brake drums were frozen, or the drive shaft, or that type of stuff there. And I'll show you guys. I'll fire it up real quick and just show you guys what the issue is that we're going to try to tackle today. Alright, so I'm gonna put it in drive here. You guys can see nothing happens. So that's drive. I got nothing. That's low. I can leave it right low. I got nothing. You can see that it is possible to turn the tires. They're not frozen. The other side turns. None of the brake drums, neither of the brake drums are froze up or anything like that. The drive shaft spins. If you get a view from the back of the car, you can see when I rotate this tire, the other tire rotates as well. Tires rotate in the same direction because it has a posi rear end, has a 273 rear gear ratio with a locker in it from the factory. But yeah, that's where we're at right now. I got underneath, I looked at the shifting linkage itself. Hold on, let me kill the car. So I looked at the shifting linkage underneath. I had my wife run through the gears, and the shifting linkage on the side of the transmission is doing its shifting linkage thing. And I've already checked the transmission fluid. The color looks fine, and it has enough fluid in it, so I'm not really sure what's going on. So today we're going to go ahead and we're going to drain the transmission fluid out, and we're going to drop the transmission pan, and we're going to see what it looks like inside there. Possibly drop the valve body, take the valve body apart. I got the gaskets and stuff to put it back together, so I have to take the valve body apart and clean it up and stuff. I know it's nothing to do with the planetary gears or anything really serious in the transmission, because the car drove fine when I was driving it 23 years ago before it was parked. So just from sitting for a couple decades, things are probably like gummed up in the transmission somewhere, probably in the valve body, or maybe the servo piston is stuck in its little cylinder. Who knows? We're going to address it. We're going to get to the bottom of it. We're going to try to get this thing rolling on its own power here. If I get that far, we'll check the brakes out, and hopefully this time, like I said in the last episode, hopefully this time we'll be able to actually take it around the neighborhood. But we'll get underneath the car and we'll get going. What's nice about this 2-speed Powerglide is the fact that it actually has a drain plug for the transmission pan. A lot of automatics don't have this. You have to drop the pan and you make a huge mess. So we'll see what comes out of here. I'm not going to be able to tell too much in the pan because the pan's already nasty from every other fluid that I've drained in there. But, we'll see. Oh, I'm caught. So, I mean, it definitely has fluid in it. It's of the reddish variety. It looks 23 years old with 77,000 miles on it, but it it does look red. So we'll get this drained out. We'll take this pan off here and get this servo cover on this side. I'll have to change camera angles and get you guys in over here when I get that far, but I just want to see what's hiding inside this pan once I get this fluid out here and see what's going on. Alright, we're getting down to the nitty gritty here. So We call that close enough. Put this bad boy back in for a second. Start winding out all these pan bolts here and drop this pan and see what happens. Drop them in the pan because that would be great. Here. And alright, now some gentle prying action. Should come down. There we go. Let all that bleed down into the pan. And then I'm going to have to carefully maneuver the other drip pan in place of this pan to catch this stuff here for a second. And I'll take this out the light and look inside the pan and see what's going on in the pan. I'm going to dump whatever's in here and here, see what's going on in the pan. Get some crap right here, but that was mostly when I was pulling the dipstick in and out because the tube had some crap, and that's on the side that the dipstick's on. But you know, there's no big chunks in here, so that's good. So I'll get this pan cleaned up and I'll climb back underneath and take the filter off. I have a new filter, a new gasket. Like I said, I have the valve body gaskets as well if I feel the need to tear that out. But if the filter itself, if that screen is clogged, it could have prevented fluid from circulating. So we'll drop that and kind of diagnose that first before we really dig into things. All right, we'll go ahead and get this filter screen off here. Let's see what that looks like. Ooh, that was nice. I mean, this, you know, doesn't really look overly clogged, so I'll bring this out in the light too and see what we got going on here. So if that looks like that, then we might end up having to take that valve body out and just take a look at that. I'm just hoping that I don't have to drop the entire transmission. I mean, it's not that big of a deal if I have to drop the whole thing, but I would prefer not to right now. So alright, well, I guess I'll get underneath there and figure out how to get that valve body out of there and take that apart. Alright, so we're going to take this valve body off, take it out, disassemble it, clean it, because I'm assuming that it's got to be gummed up with crap. So we'll get in here, the spring's got to get detached here, and hopefully don't go flying. Okay, so that was good. Just leave that hanging for now. Alright, and then I imagine it's just this bolt and this bolt to get this plate off first. So we'll try those, see how that goes. Valve body type hardware I'm going to just set over here so we keep it separate from the rest of the stuff that we got laying on the tarp. Nothing's coming flying out of here, so that's good. I can see what's going on up in there. Come on, guys, get down there. Alright. So just set that there for a second. I gotta get in here with a flashlight and see what's going on. So that's that. And that just kind of sets and pushes on that. So that should just come down. When I take the valve body out, I just want to make a mental note of this right here, so I don't know if I can record this for my own personal record as well too. Yeah, so looks like so that's gonna stay when the valve body comes out. Okay, cool. So let's just zip it down. Alright, so we got one here too. Oh, actually, you know what? I'll just do opposites too. Whatever that is, I swallowed it. Got it. It was either bug or rust. I am covered in training fluid. I'm just taking a bath in it. It's so lovely. Oh yeah, this right here is gonna come out too. That's right. I gotta get a big wrench for that. Oh yeah, might need the drip pan. Shit. Covered down because we got two for one. There we go. What? Just something just fell? No. I'm gonna have to sift through the. Oh god. Okay, so let's just let that pour in there for a second. So we'll just set that back in there for a second. It just kind of wants to hang out there. Great. All right. So we know that our servo was free. So that wasn't the problem why things were not engaging. So we're assuming it's the valve body. It's probably clogged. We're going to take that up outside the car and disassemble that and see if it's all crudted up inside. Alright, I gotta get off underneath this car. Alright, with the valve body successfully removed from the transmission, we're going to dissect the valve body here and get it cleaned up, get the new gaskets put back in, and get it tossed back in the car. And hopefully this is the only problem with the car, so make sure we don't lose anything and just keep track of everything, and we should be fine. So we'll crack it open and see what we got here. All right. Let's see what we got here. Looks like this tube will come out. Set this tube over here and try to get this gasket off here so we don't lose that. That doesn't look too horrible, but that's only the top half, so I guess I'll set this just kind of over here for a second. I'm gonna get this gasket plate. So we know, I'm gonna reference which way the gasket's gonna go here. There's a top gasket and a bottom gasket. So that's the other gasket, and then that's the cruddy side here. I'm not seeing a whole bunch of sludge, maybe, but yeah, well, I guess we'll just get this cleaned up, get things, dissected out of here and put back in. Okay, so now that we have the valve body cleaned up, it was pretty nasty. But you can see it's nice and clean now. Everything slides in and out smooth. This piece here actually makes different noises now. So whatever was gummed up and stuck inside of there, I don't know if you can hear that, but it seems to be functioning fine now. So I'll go ahead and slap it back together and get it tossed in the car here. So we're gonna get this pan cleaned up here. We got the valve bodies all reassembled and cleaned. You gotta get all this old gasket material off here. Get the pan wiped down, cleaned out. I think I got a bug crawling in the back of my head.
Yeah, you got a spider web attached to you.
That's nice.
I get it.
Hopefully I have enough brake clean for this project. so we got the pan out there getting cleaned, so we might as well take a scruff pad here and clean up this mating surface, and then we'll get the valve body bolted back in here and get the linkage hooked back up and add some fluid to this bad boy. You don't want any of this in the transmission, so, or your face. So we got the valve body ready to go back in here. Now I gotta diagnose which way the wind blows here, and then that's gonna catch in there. I'll try to. This is gonna tip in there first, just like that. Okay, that can go in there like that. Just to hold this bad boy. Okay, so we got the valve body in, got the linkage all straightened out. Gonna put this valve back in here and get this thing threaded back in here without dropping it in my face. There's supposed to be a gasket. Hold on a second. Oh, slow down. Don't get ahead of yourself. Yeah. Okay, it's way over there. This gasket's not the greatest condition, but we'll put it back on there for good measure. Now we're good. Put this guy back on, which should get on there. Oh, get on there. There we go. All right, pan gasket. We got valve body in, everything's adjusted, everything's cleaned up. Got the pan clean, got the matting surfaces clean, got the pan gasket on, get this pan up in here. And then we should be able to just fix that servo cover and add some fluid. Woohoo! Alright, we'll just make sure we tighten these up in some kind of opposite sequence, like we're supposed to. Finally done underneath the car. Everything's tightened down, pan's back on, servo cover's back on. Now we can go ahead, set this over here, start adding some fluid. Fingers crossed that this is it and it's not the pump or anything like that. I don't have to drop the tranny because that'd be really frustrating. Four quarts to a gallon, so I'm assuming we lost at least 4 quarts. Good thing is if it's over full, then we can just drain it with the drain plug, because they were smart and put a drain plug on the transmission pan on this car. I'll take this out for now. Alright, we'll see what that got us. Hey, alright, get off there. Of course, it says overfull, but we know that it's not overfull, so we'll give it one more stab. Yeah, that's good. So, I mean, she's just a little bit overfull, but that should be enough to start it up and let it come up to temperature, and maybe it's got to move around and see where we are once it gets up to temperature. We'll give it a check, and if it's still over full, we'll drain some out. Check here. I can find my rag. Got the car in neutral, put it in neutral. We'll check the fluid. That looks good. Nothing. Unbelievable. No low, no drive. No reverse. So that's in low right there. I really don't know now. It's got to be the pump. So it looks like I got to drop the transmission and change the pump. That sucks. I don't know where to go from here, but I'm gonna shut it down.